As a leader, how do you acknowledge the fear of job loss without accidentally validating it?
I think it's with many technological revolutions. At the end of the day, it's mostly the uncertainty that drives fear.
Which fear is most dangerous for any company's productivity, in your opinion?
So I think the saying that you're not going to be replaced by AI, you're going to be replaced by a person that uses AI, encapsulates the topic quite well. So I certainly think the risk is much more that you're not utilizing this new technology enough.
What are some specific decision-making areas that you believe should never be handed over to AI to maintain the employee trust? Hi, my name is Amir and I am the co-founder and COO at PureLogics. Welcome to another episode of PureLogics Pulse. Today we have got a very interesting topic, and that is how leaders can adopt AI without triggering fear. Joining us today is a serial entrepreneur and a ruthless innovator in the spatial computing revolution and AI revolution. As the founder and CEO of Author Technologies, he is fundamentally redefining future of work by building 3D office spaces for some of the world's most influential organizations, including PwC and United Nations. I would say he's a relentless builder in VR industry. Previously, he built and launched just high impact startups like, Casino VR and In-Flight VR. His company Author Technologies has raised $5.5 million, including $2.5 million in seed funding from one of the most reputable VCs of the Valley, that is Draper Associate. Please welcome Christoph Fleischmann. How are you, Chris?
Hi, Amir. Nice to be here. Thanks
Nice
for
to
having
meet
me
you.
on.
Thank you. The first question is around fear, basically. And AI anxiety is real. There is a Forbes survey, and that says 71% of the employee worry it will take over their work. As a leader, how do you acknowledge the fear of job loss without accidentally validating it?
I think it's with many technological revolutions. At the end of the day, it's mostly the uncertainty that drives fear. Now, I do think that there are real changes coming to different roles, different activities in companies, different tasks that we have been used to perform as humans. I think we're seeing it very clearly, I would say, this year. Certainly, I think we've seen it last year as well emerging. There are foundational shifts in terms of the kind of work we can offload to these models. And it's rather increasing, where we can reliably work with our AI companions. And so I don't think brushing over the topic is certainly not the solution, but addressing the uncertainty is, I think, what I recommend here. You want to be clear about your vision of AI, how it affects the company, how it affects everyone involved in critical functions. And you want to lay out a map where you say, look, this is how we're going to deploy this. This is how our company will evolve. And this is how we're going to win and succeed and not, be defeated either individually or a company. So breaking down this uncertainty and sharing, maybe oversharing your vision and the way you think about it is probably the best approach.
In my opinion, there are two types of fear: being replaced by AI or falling behind by not using AI. Which fear is most dangerous for any company's productivity, in your opinion?
So I think the saying that you're not going to be replaced by AI, you're going to be replaced by a person that uses AI, encapsulates the topic quite well. So I certainly think the risk is much more that you're not utilizing this new technology enough, and that through competition or other factors, your relative position gets weakened. I think as an individual, it's much more likely that this happens instead of just that there's a complete loss of all of the roles where you could be productive. I think if we look at the current capability of these AI models, and I think we can get to this a lot. If anything, I think the demand for human insights, humans that can distinguish something that is 95% accurate and AI generated, but is missing these 5% accuracy points. I think this is becoming the most important resource. So if you ask me, more than ever, if you're part of a company and you're driven, you're going to be essential going forward, because otherwise companies will drown in this pile of work slop that AI can generate, where everyone can sound smart, but it's all vapid and kind of superficial, right? Like a bullet point lists all perfectly formulated with beautiful, rhetoric means inside. But at the end of the day, if you're an expert and read through it, you're like, most of this is not accurate for our case. And I think this is happening right now. So if that's any reassurance, I think seeing this pattern, I think outlines a viable path for the next coming years where we will need humans in the loop, we will need humans steering AI and bridging the gap between what the AI models know in their training data and how they interpret the situation and the actual interpretation. We can, of course, also talk about, how does this look then a couple of years or, so down the road where I think this might evolve further. But at the moment, I think it's mostly a topic of make sure that you're playing the game and, you're using it to win.
I would say, many leaders are there who actually sees AI as a cost cutter, but I read somewhere that you actually, consider it as a force multiplier. So how do you convince a skeptical team or a leader that AI is there to upgrade their career, not to take it, not to end it?
Obviously there are many different cases, and maybe there are cases where companies just see it as cost cutting. And while I fundamentally just disagree in terms of, I don't think that this is what this technology is about. I don't think this technology is about doing the same stuff just faster. I think it's about being able to do a lot more stuff. That's the key. It relates to Javan's paradox, where if you see the price of something get reduced dramatically, maybe your intuition would be that the total amount of money that people spend on this will actually drop because it's becoming cheaper. But actually, because it's becoming so available, the total amount of money spent on this is increasing. And we see it with data, with compute and so on since 20, 30 years. All of these things have been getting cheaper and cheaper, but we actually spend more time on it. So I think it's a force for expansion, not contraction of our economy. And a leader, I think, should think about, if you have a great business and now with your team, you can do 10 or 100 times more. Why are you not doing this? Why are you trying to do the same amount, just cheaper? I think that's the key question that people have to ask. And this is where I would shift my priorities, my focus, and my attention towards the opportunities for growth.
Okay, what are some specific decision-making areas that you believe should never be handed over to AI to maintain the employee trust?
I think we are constantly surprised by where AI is able to outperform us in cases, not generally, but in different areas. I'm not sure whether we've seen anything where AI cannot fundamentally help. Now, when you say outsourcing entire decisions, I think the obvious cases are anything that's incredibly interpersonal, relies on a trust network, on a relationship between the employee and the employer or within these teams. Anything that involves this kind of social contract that you have in teams, I think you can do a lot of good with AI. We actually see a lot of cases where we use AI to elevate voices that otherwise wouldn't be heard to leadership, because AI can listen to a lot more people at the same time and synthesize this information. So I actually do want to say, within this discussion, there are great ways to use AI to become better at leadership, to become better informed, and to make better decisions. But the decision making about where you affect human lives in terms of your staffing the future and stuff like this, I would certainly keep this very, very close to your trusted managers and leaders in the organization.
You are multilingual and understand the power of communication very well. How much of the fear around AI is driven by dystopian sci-fi language, and how can leaders consciously reframe the narrative of their internal communication?
It's very catchy, right? To think about Skynet, the rise of the machines, and these things, these tropes have existed, throughout maybe media itself or the visual arts. Again, I think if you work with these technologies, I do want to say it feels like magic, but it doesn't feel like dark magic. It doesn't feel like something you cannot control or something that will go out of your hands. So by being involved, by using these tools, by also seeing these tools operate and seeing how they hilariously fail in something that you would expect any human to perform well in, kind of breaks down this the devil you don't know kind of scenario, right? So basically the fear of the unknown. Ooh, I actually don't know what these things can do. And once you work with it, I think it becomes very, very quickly something you can judge and you can become comfortable with, and then start using for your advantage.
The other question which I actually wanted to ask is about AI weirdness. You mentioned that, the weirdness of AI is basically a barrier, and which is why you are basically creating, these 3D virtual spaces. And you believe that, they are more natural than, having a just chat box to interact with the AI. Could you please throw some light on this narrative?
Yeah, I think just fundamentally, a lot of what we're looking at in our company is the future of how I work with this incredibly intelligent, is a little chat box where I upload some files or an email summary at the end of a meeting. We are creating two things, I think. A, we're creating a logical distance between the human sphere where we work and the AI sphere. We're creating this silo where there's information that I have with an AI, there's information that you have with an AI, and this kind of lives separate and in parallel to our work, my meeting or my discussion or what I would talk. And so what we believe is the interface is really a challenge. We need to approach it on a fundamental level where I can work with an AI where I don't actually, sorry, I need to throw this in. I don't actually need to treat them as a human employee. They don't need to look like a human employee, but we need to know that they are agents. They're more than just a tool. They are capable of, improving, thinking, doing things, So they should have a part in our workflows, and we should be able to talk with them and interact with them very natural. What we do in 3D with our applications is we bring the AI instantiated as a kind of robot next to you into the space, and it can basically raise its hand, it can talk to you, it can do things for you in this room. And so you kind of naturally start treating it not as a human, but as an entity that can perform certain things and can understand me, not just as a tool. And anything we do in this direction, I think, is going to break down the silification that we see between the AI world and the VR world. And that would be my recommendation, to invest in the interfaces, in the bridges between human work and AI. And by doing so, making it also very natural and intuitive for people to work. There's, of course, also the thing, everyone involved needs to know the benefit. When we talk about what our AI agents can do, we have our tool Vibe, where I as a manager can ask my AI assistant to go out into my organization and talk to 100 people about problems we're facing or ideas that they have to improve.
Awesome.
And it's important to close this feedback loop, that if they provide this input to an AI, they get a personalized follow-up and say, hey, John, you had this idea. This is what we're doing about this. This is what we're trying to do now. So I think on a lot of these things, AI can play an incredibly positive role for our adoption. And for us, it boils down to the way we can connect with these AI agents.
So when AI is present in the office, in the virtual office, employees might feel that, they are being vigilant, they are being watched, and, someone is actually vigilant, right? So what are some specific guardrails a leader should actually, put in place to ensure that AI is seen as a facilitator, not as a spy?
Fundamentally, I think it's really important to ensure that you are using tools built for enterprises. I know this sounds silly, but we will see that commercially available AI, consumer level AI, their business model is probably closer to web search and advertisement than an AI that is there to actually help you. And this opens a whole range of privacy and security considerations. So deploying the right AIs, working with partners whose business model is not to sell ads, right? Whose business model is entirely focused on, we want to help you do a better job. I think this is just fundamental, the most important thing. You do not want people to share your company data on different tools that are maybe publicly available that might not have these safeguards. And when you deploy agents like ours, it's very important to transparently explain to everyone what's happening here. Now, already today, a lot of our data gets saved. A lot of our meetings get saved. A lot of our files get saved. A lot of our conversations get saved. So we have an implicit agreement already about trust of our data. I actually believe that AI can improve this trust relationship. It doesn't break it. Because the way we, for example, build our tools, we spend a lot of time in figuring out architectures that allow us to differentiate between personal information that is related to the individual and their work, team relevant information, and organizationally relevant information. And it is one of the big problems that data always had in the enterprise is that
Hmm.
I'm sure you've seen it. There are these security classification standards on different documents. You might see this is level
Exactly.
3, this is level 4, and it's a mess. Like nobody
Hmm.
wants to maintain this. Nobody wants to categorize it and maintain. If you actually deploy AI correctly,
Hmm.
AI can help make this judgment. It should be, of course, again, transparent, but
Hmm.
it's so much more effective at putting the piece of information into the database with the right access levels and certifications that
Hmm.
you actually want it to perform in. And so, in a way, I actually do believe that around a lot around this these privacy topics, you as a leader want to embrace the positive sides of it. And the things that are just fundamental, you need to make sure that you're working with the right tools and you need to inform your employees, hey,
Hmm.
look, this is what we're doing. This assistant is here to do, and it's here to help you, you know. It's here to help you get your job done quicker. It's here to help you have fewer problems. And then it's about just getting people to become familiar with the technology. If you do
Hmm.
that, a lot of the problems will break down, we believe. So it's a multifaceted approach towards data security and integrity. I'm obviously oversimplifying it a lot, but I think these are the components you need to have in place for a successful AI rollout strategy.
As a founder, what are the two, three non-negotiable ethical questions you would ask yourself before, integrating any AI tool into your company?
It's a that's a very good question because my counter question would be, I'm not sure whether you can just believe everyone that, a company can say they're ethical
Hmm.
in AI, and you might still have an AI model that performs differently.
Hmm.
So for me, it's a lot less about signals and perceived things. So I don't mind if I hear big presentation of an AI having a lot of integrity, but I care a lot more about the results.
Right.
And so I would judge the
Hmm.
AI and these vendors and these relationships much more by, hey, what is it actually that it's generating and how is it performing? So I would say my framework is actually much more trust
Hmm.
sorry, much more verified in trust, right? In the trust but verify framework. You want to be able to verify, audit these tools. You want to have reports, a lot of transparency, and then you want to work with you want your vendors to work with the absolute latest tech stack and according to the latest technology standards.
Let's talk about a little bit about your tech startup, Arthur Technologies. Could you please tell
Mhm.
us, like, a little bit roadmap where you guys are and what future look like, and in relationship with, AGI? I mean, I actually wanted to ask, like, out of curiosity, do you believe that AGI is imminent, and how does it actually look like, and what are the secret sauces and plan you have on your mind? Yeah.
Yeah, no, happy. Big question. So I'll try to take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
At Arthur, we build enterprise collaboration software. So we're one of these companies.
Hmm.
What our job is to help companies be more
Hmm.
effective, be
Uh-huh.
more, speedy in their decisions, have better communication, and
Hmm.
hopefully they also enjoy using our products. And we've done this with one of our still our main application is a 3D interactive meeting tool. Here I can put on a VR headset or log in a browser and I can meet you in a 3D space. And we can use this for onboardings of new recruits, of new
Hmm.
people joining the company. We could use it for trainings. We could use it for workshops. We could use it for customer presentations. Or in our company, we use it also for our team meetings. So we're a remote team, and every week for an
Hmm.
hour, we all put on VR headsets and we meet in a 3D space. And kind of
Awesome.
at the beginning of the meeting, I roam around to the different groups that are already standing there, and I just say hello to everyone. And I can just tell you, it's really fascinating to see this because it's
Mhm.
still something just not everybody is used to.
Mhm.
So this is the VR world, and about 2 years ago, we've of course started investing heavily into AI because
Right.
fundamentally what we've built is it's kind of like a video game that we
Mhm.
have. It's just for enterprises, and you can put AI powered entities into this
Mhm.
3D space to work with you.
Mhm.
And it's kind of the closest thing to, I'm sure you've seen all of these robot startups, humanoid robot startups and companies that are, very, very hyped at the moment. And I think everybody is very excited to have a robot that can wash your dishes or, kind of
Exactly.
vacuum your apartment, right? And I think what we've built is kind of the closest thing to this. Just it's all virtual. So it's all in the 3D space. We already have these robots roaming around helping people in this 3D space.
Hmm.
And naturally, what we've just seen is we've built our infrastructure to support AI agents that
Hmm.
can be in this 3D space, helping users accomplish their task. And while we worked with a lot of these enterprises, new use cases
Hmm.
emerged. So one of the tools I've mentioned is our new product that we've released last year, 𝐒𝐴𝐻, which
Hmm.
takes this AI agent and makes it just a bit more accessible. So now you don't need a VR headset, you don't need the full 3D space, but
Right.
we're still using a lot of the capabilities that we've built for the 3D space to make this AI very intuitive to work with, very natural to interact with, and very capable to work with you. So, for example, the use case I mentioned where I want to survey 100 people in my organization and I want a really smart AI to go out there, talk to these people individually, and then come back to me and synthesize this information. That's what we
Hmm.
would do with our AI native tool. So that's really what we're doing. And on our roadmap, I'm not sure I can talk about everything because
Yeah.
it's too
Totally
much for this
understandable.
this podcast, and we'll be announcing some exciting things as well. I think broadly speaking, it's just we haven't seen anything yet. I think that's the simplest way of explaining it. Like we have seen less than 1% of the capabilities of how AI can interact
Hmm.
with humans. AI is going to seamlessly create interactive worlds
Hmm.
that I can go through and work in on the fly. We will have multiple AI agents collaborating with multiple people at the same time, completely naturally in a space that is shared between the humans and the AI workers. And everything is going to just be faster, more capable, and scale much, much faster. So I think those are the broad topics of what we're looking at.
What is your take on AGI? Is it imminent?
I my feeling is that AGI might be similar to how we called the Turing test a milestone.
Hmm.
Would you say that we've passed the Turing test? I would probably argue yes,
Right.
sometime in the last 2, 3 years. We certainly right now, I think I could be tricked, at least for some time, from an AI calling me. And that
Hmm.
was the gold standard. And
Hmm.
everybody said, we'll never be able to pass the Turing test. We kind of went really, really close, and then there was a gray area.
Hmm.
And now I would say most people would argue we're past it. And so I think AGI is right now again this thing that we think of as an explicit milestone, but we're probably in the gray area there as well. We probably have areas where the AI's intelligence far exceeds human intelligence.
Right.
And then we have areas where the AI is really, really useless compared to
Right.
humans, and
Hmm.
it's going to kind of emerge. I do think though that there are compounding effects. So I think to the question whether AGI is imminent, I think we are in a kind of fast takeoff scenario of AI. We
Hmm.
are living through a world where it doesn't seem it neither seems that we've identified any area where we can't encode data into vectors, multiply them a bazillion times, and have an AI after, oversimplifying it, but after a long, long process,
Hmm.
actually AI be able to replicate or, create interesting output. Like it's across text, video, audio, um, 3D worlds, robotics. It can predict folded proteins and chemical structures. It's pretty fascinating.
Hmm.
These models can do a lot, and at least I don't think we've seen many areas where it hasn't performed at all, or where we can structurally say, look, this is something it can never touch. And the second thing is also within all of these areas, not only do we know of no area where the logic doesn't or the method doesn't work, we also don't see any indication that it's fundamentally limited. We constantly see better models improving in some areas, like code
Hmm.
generation. If you're a software engineer, the last 6 weeks were crazy, or maybe 8 weeks.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
the, the breakthroughs in December last year were material, I would say. It's
Mhm.
always been increasing, but now I think that there was a real inflection point. And so we neither see areas where AI won't be able to do something, and we also don't see any limits at the moment to its capability, at least not, I would say, structurally or logically. So, yeah, we're going to have an incredibly dynamic next 5 years ahead of us
Mhm.
as all of these technologies or different application areas of this technology turn from early exploration towards early prototypes, towards early products, towards the
Mhm.
standard of how we produce or consume. And that's, I think, happening across a lot of different levels. So I certainly think that while I'm not sure whether AGI is the right way to think about it, I think for our society and the progress of humanity, we are in a scenario where it's gonna happen very fast
Mhm.
and it's gonna be very broad. But again, I think if we handle it well and if we stay close individually to the technology, I think it's going to be an incredible force for good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And regarding your roadmap, I know that, you cannot clearly tell us like what you guys are
Mhm.
building. But, let me ask it in another way around. And that is, do you think like our digital avatar will eventually become more real than our physical presence in office?
I strongly believe we as humans want natural ways to convey our desires or our interests,
Mhm.
and we want a natural way to receive information back. So on a fundamental interface level, I think it's smart in some areas
Mhm.
to give us an AI avatar to talk to. So I thoroughly believe that an incredible AI teacher looks maybe not like a human, but looks like some sort of person or robot or something that I can talk to. I know
Right.
that listens to me. So I do believe that there's a lot of value in design that makes us realize that I'm talking to an entity that can respond to me, that can listen to me, that can react to my impulse, and that can visualize its thoughts in some way. So I certainly believe that for many areas where we as humans want to be in the loop, we will want to have AI that is able to join us looking like a person.
Got it. Okay. Well, this is the end of the current
Mhm.
episode. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for the
Mhm.
insight, Chris, and it was pleasure talking with you. And one of my key takeaways from this conversation is that, frame AI as an augmentation, not a replacement, and involve your team early, do experiments, and turn anxiety into ownership. Thank you so much.